Hello guys, today we're going to talk about conditional orders. In the last video we talked about formations, which are intimately linked to conditional orders. If you did not watch that video, you should go back there as soon as you can. The video will be here in the cards for you. Conditional orders are actions that you can preset for the game to execute in case some specific events happen. In Trophy Manager, we cannot make changes during the games. I use many conditional orders in my extra team. If you want to see how I apply them, check out what you see in the cards now. This is my B team, my reserve squad. I'm going to use this to show how to change the conditional orders because I don't want to mess up with my main squad, in which I have more complicated conditional orders. They take more time to set up, so I don't want to mess them up. To change the conditional orders, you should be here at the tactics page and you go to advanced settings, this part down here. In my B team, I only use the conditional orders of substitutions, this one, as you can see here. I use this to allow my players to get routine. As they play matches, they get more routine. If you want to know more about routine, there is a video I made some time ago. You can check it out. It's in the cards for you. Let me clean this up. I will cancel all these orders. Later I can put them back. Okay. As you can see here, the maximum number of conditional orders that you can set is 20. Okay, I cannot go further here if I click, see? They may increase it to 30 soon, but it's not sure yet. Let's hope for it. The more the better. There is a discussion going on. If you play already, maybe you have seen the announcements that they may increase this number to 30. Let's see the outcome. In order to set a conditional order, you need to fill up three criteria: the event, the score, and the order. Each group has some options. Like in event, for example, you can set a specific time in the match. You can set a condition if a player gets injured, if a player gets a yellow card, if a player gets a red card, or if a goal is scored by any of the sides. In the scores, you can select that your team is winning, there is a draw, your team is losing, or the score doesn't matter. And in the order, you have the substitutions, the change in mentality, change in attacking style, and change of position of some players. Let's make some examples. Let me put a better formation here. This one is a bit messed. Let's put three defenders. Yeah, like this should be okay. Let's say that at minute 65, as you know, at minute 65, the players start losing their skills due to the stamina effect. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check the video in the cards to learn more about the stamina effect. It's very important. Let's say that I want to replace one of the players, this one for example. So the score doesn't matter, I will replace him anyway. Then I want him to go out and I will put this guy to play in his place in the same position, midfielder right side. Okay, that's it, it's set. Let's say that I want to change my striker too at 75. But I will only do that if my team is winning. Because I know that when I change, my team may get weaker. Then I will only change if my team is winning by 2 goals, let's say. Then I just come here, I take this guy out, and I put this one, for example. Let's put this one. And then I choose which position he will play. Okay? Actually, let me change. If I'm winning 2-0, I want to take this attacker out and put as an offensive midfielder. Then the team can be more defensive. Okay? That's simple, right? Let's set one for the red card in case I have a defender sent off. Let's say, for example, this guy. At any moment, I will take a striker off, this one for example, and I will put another defender to replace him. Can be this guy. He will play as a defender. Okay? Very easy, no? Let me put one for mentality now. Let's say that my team is initially playing slightly defensive and the attacking style wings, for example. Then, if by, let's say, if by the minute 70 we are losing 1-0, then I want the team to be more offensive. Then I will tell them to play slightly attacking. Okay? And one last one with the can be attacking style. Two more attacking style and player position. Let's suppose that I really need to win this game. Then by the minute 75, it's a draw and I'm playing through the wings. So I will assume it's not working well because I'm not winning. Then I will change to long ball, through balls, for example. Okay. And one last one with the player's position. Let's say that if at the minute 75 my team is losing by 1-0, I will tell this guy to go forward. He's usually a center midfielder. I'll tell him to play as an offensive midfielder. Okay? So it's very simple. That's how you set conditional orders. You can even set conditional orders for players who are on the bench, but then you had to use some tricks. For example, let's say that I want to give routine for these two guys here, this one and this one. And I don't want to put both of them to play at the same time because they will make the team too bad. Then I can put, for example, one at the minute 85. Let's say that at minute 35, no matter what happens, I will put this guy to replace this one in the same position as a defensive midfielder. Okay? Now I want to do the same. I want to take this guy who entered out and put this one. He entered, he got his routine. Now I want to take him out to give routine to this other guy. Then the same, no matter what time. But if I come here now, this guy can enter, but this one is still on the bench. I cannot see him here, right? Then what I have to see is to put him in the match. Now when I come here, I can see this guy replacing this one. Understand? In the same position. And make sure that before the match starts, you go back and put your guy you want to start the match with. Okay? Then during the match, this order will be executed. This guy will come out, this one will come in, then this other one will be executed. So if you want to set orders for guys who are not on the field at the beginning of the match, you should do like this. Orders that cannot be completed, they are simply skipped by the game. They don't bug the game or anything like this. For example, let's say that here I set an order for in case. Okay, actually I have one here. I will just use that. In case this guy is suspended, this one will get out and this one will enter. And then later I put a normal substitution. I want at minute 90, no matter what happens, this guy comes out and this one enters to replace him. Okay? I have these two orders. If this guy is sent off, this one will come out and this one will enter. This order has been executed. When the minute 90 happens, this guy will not be on the field anymore. Then he cannot come out for this one to enter. Therefore, this order will simply be skipped. Okay? Your orders will naturally change from match to match, depending on your goal, and you don't need to remove your orders all the time and put only the ones you're going to use. Unless you don't have space. If you have only 10 spots. If you need to use all of them, again, then you have to remove orders. But let's suppose that you only need 10 orders. Then for the next match, you want to not use one. You don't want to use this one, for example. You can remove it, okay, but then the next match you want it again, so you have to set it up again. Instead of removing, you can do something like, for example, put for this order only to be executed if your team is losing by 4, okay? It's unlikely to happen. If your team is very bad, that you think they can easily lose by 4, then you put that they are winning by 4 goals. Understand? It's a way to cancel the order without removing it. Put something that you don't think will happen. Understand? Then next match, when you need this order again, just put it back here. Depending on how you set your orders, they can be confused sometimes. For example, if I say that in case my defensive midfielder is sent off at any moment, I want to take this guy out and put one more center defender. Central defender. Okay, it's a normal order. It's completed, as you see the mark here. But when you come to the game, and for example, this guy is suspended, they will take this off and put this one off. But you have three guys at the back here. You cannot put four guys here. Then this order will not be executed as you planned. Instead of that, this guy will just replace this one and stay as a striker. Understand? Because he cannot come here anymore. He doesn't fit here. This happens when you have the maximum number of players in a position already. If I tell this guy, for example, to be a right midfielder, it will also not work because I have other right midfielder here already. Understand? In the midfield, here you can put three players. So if it's like this, I could set an order to put one more midfielder here. But if I had three, then it wouldn't work. Okay? However, I don't know how to explain. I don't know why it happened. Maybe it's a kind of a bug of the game. But if you have two center midfielders, then if I try to put a third one here, I cannot. But if I set a conditional order to put, for example, to take this guy out and put this one as a defensive midfielder, not for this guy being sent off, of course. Let's say for this one being sent off. It works. I will play with three center midfielders here. I don't know if the game actually runs like this, but I've seen in matches some guys playing with three center midfielders here. I cannot put it in the assistant manager or think how it makes sense in the game, but it happens. But I'm just telling it to you for you to know. If the guy you put on the field cannot go to the position you put, he will enter and stay in the position of the player he is replacing. Understand? One more thing is that the orders will be continuously executed while they are possible. For example, if you say that at minute no, let's put a goal. If a goal is scored and your team is losing by 1-0, you tell you tell your team to play slightly attacking. Okay? And then you say if a goal is scored and is a draw, which means that your team is losing, then your team scored a goal and now it's a draw. So you don't need to be slightly attacking anymore. Then you want to be slightly defensive instead. Okay? This order has been executed before, but later your team concedes one more goal and now they are losing by 1-0. Then your team will go slightly attacking again. Okay? So every time an event happens, the game checks all the orders to see which one they can execute. And this can go until the match is over. That's all for this video, guys. If you have questions, write them down below. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. See you soon.